The honourable member for Banff Airdrie.
66,349. That's the number of Canadians who laid down their lives during the First World War. 44,090. The number of Canadians who made the ultimate sacrifice in the Second World War. 516 Canadians who gave their lives during the Korean War. And 158 Canadian Armed Forces members who lost their lives in Afghanistan. Those are the numbers, the statistics. But they're not just numbers or statistics. They represent real people who laid down their lives for our freedoms. And they left behind families who mourn them. They were someone's brother or sister, son or daughter, mother or father. They were young men and women who had hopes and dreams that will forever go unrealized. Et ils l'ont fait pour vous.
And they did so for you and for me, such that we might continue to enjoy our freedom. They did so willingly in the ultimate act of courage and sacrifice. It is a debt that we can never repay.
And in much the same way, there is never enough that we can do or say for those who have served this country and came back forever changed. Whether their injuries are physical, psychological, or emotional, they leave deep scars and often have a lasting impact on their relationships, on their families, and on their futures. And we owe it to them to listen and to seek to always do what is right by them, and to ensure that what they fought for is never taken for granted. Nous leur rendons hommage pour leur loyal service.
In doing so, we honor their service and sacrifice. I am extremely honored to stand here today on behalf of the official opposition, Canada's Conservatives, and all Canadians to offer our thanks, our admiration, and our deepest respect, and to pledge to always be there for you as you were there for us.
And now if I can, for a moment, Mr. Speaker, speak to a date that all Canadians should know well. April 9th of 1917. It's said that from a Canadian perspective, World War I was both our greatest sorrow and our finest hour. And perhaps no battle symbolized that better than Vimy Ridge. During 4 days in April of 1917, 4 divisions of Canadians fighting together for the very first time as a unified force did what many felt was impossible. They took Vimy Ridge. It was our coming of age as a nation. It was a defining moment in Canadian history. As Canadian Brigadier General A. Ross said of the victory, "In those few minutes, I witnessed the birth of a nation." But remember, while it was our finest hour, it was also our greatest sorrow. Not only was it our greatest victory, but April 9th of 1917 was also the bloodiest day in Canadian history. Over 2,500 Canadians gave their lives that day. And to all Canadians, I say, if you ever have the chance to visit Vimy Ridge, and it's something that I wished all Canadians could do, I would ask you to do something. Take a few moments to reach down and feel the grass. This is the life that grows from dirt and mud soaked by courageous blood. Blood that was shed by young men in the cause of freedom. And so April 9th of 1917 is a date that we should all know well, as is August 19th of 1942, the Dieppe Raid, June 6th of 1944, when Canadians landed on Juno Beach during D-Day, and April 24th of 1951, when Canadians held the line in the Kapiong Valley by calling in an artillery strike on their own location to hit the enemy soldiers amongst them. These are all significant dates in Canadian history, and they're significant dates for the world. For on those dates, Canadians helped shape the course of world history, and they are events that we should all take pride in. Just as all Canadians should take pride in the valor of our fellow Canadians who served and sacrificed all over the globe in the time since. UN missions in places like Croatia, Bosnia, Somalia, Rwanda, Cyprus, Kosovo, the Congo, the Golan Heights, and many others. In Vietnam, in the Persian Gulf, in Libya, and in Afghanistan, which was the largest deployment of our troops since World War II, and right up to the present day in Operation Impact. To all of the Canadian men and women who served in these places and others, all your fellow Canadians owe you so much. And I stand here to acknowledge that government can do better. We must do better. It won't be enough until every single veteran feels heard and understood, supported and cared for, appreciated and honored. There is much that needs to be done at the political level, and that conversation must and will continue. Because no veteran should suffer in silence, or not know where to turn, or feel like the government isn't there for them. Now please, if I can, I'll just speak directly to all of Canada's veterans, because we must acknowledge the profound impact that your service all too often has. We must be there to care for your injuries, especially those that we can't see and that we may not understand. We have to ensure that the necessary supports are there for your transition to civilian life and to support your family. And most of all, to listen and seek to understand so that we can serve you as you served us. Nous avons tous et toutes un rôle à jouer pour témoigner.
As Canadians, we have a role to play, and we can all do our part to show our respect. It's necessary to show our respect in every way and at all times. Gestures and acts of support, both big and small, are important. It's important to wear your poppy as a symbol of remembrance and to attend a local Remembrance Day ceremony. However, remembrance can't just be about one day, 1 week, or one event. It must absolutely be something that we live each and every day.
And finally, Mr. Speaker, if you were to ask any of our veterans, what's the single most important thing that we can do to repay them? I'm sure they would all say the same thing. To never take for granted that which they fought for, our freedoms. So please join me and my colleagues in Canada's Conservatives in making that commitment today. We pledge to uphold those freedoms. It's how we will honor their memories, thank them for their service, and show our respect for their sacrifice. Freedom came at all costs, and at all costs, we must ensure it is maintained. Au coucher,
at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.